Welcome everyone back to the Bangercast. Here we have Alvaro Bonnelly, Banger's copywriter and creative mind. We also have Pablo Artiñano from Polygon, and me, Nuno Bianchi. You guys already know my face and everything. So welcome to another Bangercast. It's great to be back.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Nuno, I wanted to introduce Pablo a little bit. In a unique way. Okay, so it turns out Pablo and I know each other.
I'm scared with this.
Yeah, no.
We're friends, and that's
I'm a good friend. So Pablo and I know each other for what 20-something years, right? Since we're like 7-8 years old. It turns out that for the past 7 years, Pablo's been going every year in August to Burundi, which happens to be one of the poorest countries in the world, to spend 20 days with people there, giving this sort of educational program that they actually prepare themselves and go and teach it there for 20 days. Now, the reason I say this is because I met the people that he goes with. It changes every year. He's been doing it for what, 7-8 years, right, Pablo?
Yeah, well, I started in 2013, but it's been my 7th year because of the COVID and all this stuff.
There you go. And so the most impactful thing for me was when meeting these people, I realized they had such a bond from, going into just doing these 20 days that it was amazing, and it actually made me want to join them. Now, why am I saying this? Because I want to give you a little bit of context on the type of man that we're interviewing here today, that we're exploring. It's sure, he's a mastermind and a pretty smart dude, works for Polygon, but above anything, he's got a big old heart. So that's my intro to my good friend Pablo, who I've known for over 20 years, and I'm happy to have him join us today.
I'm not that good guy, man.
No.
But thank you, Alvaro, for the presentation. An amazing, best presentation ever, or maybe the first one also.
Yeah, well, it's high praises. Like Alvarinho's praises are not usually this ceremonial, and it's really high praises. I'm happy that we have fleshed out some questions and taken into account personal stuff too, because then we can have also people can have some perspective of what you say from that standpoint, from a standpoint of someone who enjoys helping other people. I think that is great. I think the crypto space also needs that. The idea of the crypto bro as a meme has taken the internet by storm, especially people who are not too much into the subject. So it's good to have a perspective like from the get-go that you're someone who's not that guy.
Yeah, actually, I think becoming a little bit more serious on that, I can say that blockchain is a great enabler to make the life of the people better. I think it's something that is destroying barriers, is engaging people, is engaging the community, is putting the intermediaries in their place. They are not going to rule the world because the world is from people and for people. So from that philosophical point of view, and I really like the approach that these blockchain projects and Polygon, for example, have on helping people. So I really align myself with the vision that these people are bringing to the world.
Awesome. And also, I think one other perspective that is important that not only people watching have, but also us interviewing, is your perspective as a gamer. I've heard that you're quite a hardcore gamer, and I wanted to know your history as a gamer. What games did you play as a kid? And also, and loved, like, what games got you into, like, really being a gamer and staying there? And what you play now, with the difference between them?
I don't play now much, but because I think I have played everything before. So I have already, like, put my glass of water full, so I cannot spend more time there. So basically, I've always considered me like a nerd. But I'm been always proud of being a nerd. It's not the best thing you can do when you try to meet girls when you are 20 years old, and That's why I've been single for a lot of time. But but with the time, you get confident and you feel like this is a great way to enjoy life. So my brother and I, my brother is another big story that you can also bring sometimes to Banger Game, to Banger Cast. We've been playing like to a lot of stuff. I don't know if you remember this Commandos game. Commandos was one of the best games ever made by Spaniards, and it got us our mind captured for some years. Then this kind of FIFA for sure, and all these kind of trendy and known games. But I would say like the gaming fever came for us when we start knowing like competitive Age of Empires 2. We start to meet with Counter-Strike, and we finally met this League of Legends, which was kind of crazy for us. I remember my cousin also joining us. We have these kind of parties when we were 20, 21. We were arriving late because we were playing like duo for that, and we're supposed to be at 10 and we're arriving at 12 because we were kind of mad at trying to not being perceived as noobs. So yeah, I think we have spent quite time on the gaming side. We have enjoyed a lot. In the end, you need to stop. I had to quit League of Legends from my computer because it was a big temptation, and it's not that I lose my life, but it was a big temptation to have it there in the screen the whole day. So I said, okay, I need to quit from this. And after that, I entered into another world that I never thought I would enter. Is this a big confession, Alvaro? Don't put it into our friends for this, please. But I also enjoy this kind of gameplays, like seeing people playing at the best level in the world for example, empires and all these things. So yeah, I would say like I'm not a very good gamer, but I am a very good viewer.
And also the games that you, apart from CS:GO, but you've quoted Age of Empires and League of Legends. They're games that are heavily based on. I'm gonna say resource management, but it's not a resource management game like a survival survivor game would be. But it's a lot of financial managing, I'm gonna say, and this is where you started professionally, right? Tell us about how you started as a trying to be like a public service financial guy, as I've heard.
Yeah, kind of.
And how did you transition to a career in Web3?
Well, that's a good story because when I finished university, pretty much everyone in my class were supposed to be or investment banker or big lawyer or consultant, and everything of that involved working 18 hours per day at least. So I say, wow, I don't like that life, and I don't feel like I'm smart to play that game. So what I did is like in Spain, it's kind of common to study for public examination, and I've had a good old friend that had already passed those exams, which are public exams for what is called like bank supervisor, financial entity supervisor. So I studied for that. And after 8 months, I was very, very lucky. I can tell you because I was going to the Lisbon UEFA Champions League because I thought I failed my last exam, and they told me, no, you have passed, so you have to come here for an interview. So I said, guys, I cannot go to Lisbon for this Real Madrid and Atletico game, and I had to stay in Madrid to study for the last week. And then I entered there. But what I found is not what I expected. I mean, I love what I studied because I got like a lot of background on financial maths, on statistics, on financial system, on accounting. But in the very end, I felt like the public world is not for me because there are no incentives. In 4 years, I never went to a meeting. Never. 4 years working in the Bank of Spain. Never. Don't ask me why. I never went to a meeting. So I said, okay, I want to challenge myself on the real world. I want to challenge myself. And PwC was a good opportunity because there was like a financial regulation department. So I said, okay, I'm gonna give my place at Bank of Spain. I don't know how to say in English. Like when you go on vacancy. No, it's not vacancy. It's like you want. I was on leave. I went on leave to I had like a 5 years period leave, which is gonna finish in 8 months. And I went to the PwC. I was there, so I love the work in PwC. I don't know how, but I managed to be the person that lived best in the whole tower. So I don't know how, but I was able to leave at 6 p.m. while all people were there until 9, 10. So I had a great time. I learned a lot. I proved myself, and I felt like I could be like an S player. In 2016. In 2016, I had already been in contact with crypto because my brother was very in contact with crypto. He told me, hey, I told him, where should I invest? And he told me, no, do your own research. So I started to study like hell in my free time in Bank of Spain. So when I jumped into PwC, I had like a decent knowledge for not being technical because I studied law and business, but I could manage like technical conversation quite well for being non-technical. I also learned some base of programming. And in 2020, I said to my boss in PwC, I want to open the crypto business line. He told me, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's try to do it. We have like some people here. But when I started to push, I saw like there were so many barriers, so many hierarchy. I mean, I need to report to this guy and I cannot do this because I need to report to this other guy. And I said, okay, this is very hard for me. So I also launched my own crypto blog. It was financial regulation mixed with crypto. And in 2021, and after 8 months, I start like applying to many places, Ethereum, IOTA, which was the first project I met, Cardano, all these guys. And suddenly one day, LinkedIn, someone just a pop-up message said, hey, are you looking for a job? And I saw this guy is talking from Matic. I said, wow, yeah, with you, yes. I said, with you, yes, for sure. Yeah, send me your CV. So I sent the CV in 10 minutes and updated like in the best way possible. I was interviewed then by an Indian guy to be, now he's the head of strategy for Polygon, Sanketsa, like a big guy. And I was interviewed by him to go into the Polygon DAO, but they told me, no, I don't feel you there. I feel you can work better in Polygon Enterprise. Polygon Enterprise was just being created. I was actually the first or the second employee for Polygon Enterprise. We are now 60 people. And I got the offer. I said to PwC, guys, it's been a pleasure. I've learned a lot with you. I went to my first meeting with you, but I want to try here. So I just jumped into Polygon, and now I'm living the dream.
Living the dream. I love it. And I think you're one of the best people, at least that's gone past the show, to talk to us a little bit about like the main differences that you've seen in terms of belief system and culture in these three different kind of sides of business, right? You've got the public service side, you've got the private, and then you've got crypto, web3, blockchain, right?
The anarchy.
The anarchy, the chaos, the anarchy, the hope, the new belief system. You know, it's all there. You can go from a complete traditionalist side, especially in Spain, right, with the public service and all the amount of functionaries that we have here, all the way to blockchain, which is decentralization, you know, and it's extreme. So talk to us a little bit about what are for you are the main differences.
I would say like public system is very tight. I mean, tight. I mean, you cannot think mostly except for some positions. So you are there to execute. Then you are under a lot of procedures, governance, rules. You are kind of scared of doing anything because you can be like sanctioned for that. And the job is so governed that basically you don't have like any range to move, to think, to create, to I don't know, to make things more bigger than you're just putting some ideas
or give personal individual inputs. You're just like a clog in the machine, and that's it.
I was saying I am 26 years old. I don't want to put my talents or what I can do here. I mean, I cannot do this. So imagine how it was at the first day when I left and I took 3 months of holidays, okay, because I could do it. I was on leave, so I said, okay, I'm gonna stop on June. I'm gonna start on September, like on PwC, like in the school. And my boss told me, the only thing I love from your new life, the only thing are your holidays. The only thing. I said, come on, this is the tip you can give me. So I said, okay, I don't want to come back here for sure. I mean, there are good people, but I don't feel like innovation is there, creation is there. I don't like it. Maybe some other people like it because your life is much more quiet, it's more calm. You can have a better work balance if you want. Not for me. Then I got into the private. I like it, but you need to sacrifice a lot your life for working, and I work for living. I don't live for working. For me, it's something important. That's why I was leaving at 6 p.m. That's why I was never the tier 1 for the promotions, but it was my election, and it's also you are accountable for the number of hours. You are accountable for the. I don't know. There is a lot of politics there. You need to dance the music that the boss wants you to dance. And if you don't fit in that music, I'm sorry, but that's the music you're gonna have. And then I say, okay, I don't like it. And then the Web3 is like everything is possible. I mean, it has drawbacks. I'm not gonna say this is the fairy tale because we are in a very kind of chaotic world with you never know what's going to happen the next day, where things change. We are like in a very startup environment, and startup sometimes gets you mad because it's like I cannot control nothing or very very few things. But it's like we are few, so the opinion, your opinion is very important. This is greenfield. You can create, you can decide, you can go back. You can learn whatever you want, and I would say like it's a sector where the most brilliant minds I've seen are concentrated. Maybe it was like fintech in 2010. Now I think it's Web3, AI, all these things, but Web3 is amazing. I'm not saying because of me, I'm saying because the guys that are jumping with me. I was in a call like 1 hour and a half with a solution architect, which is a complete machine. It's an American guy. I was in a call and I was lost half of the call, okay? They were talking between two guys. I was saying, okay, and I just ping him, say, Kyle, explain me this because I'm not following you because you go too fast. And the guy was saying, yeah, it wasn't that difficult. I consider myself like a smart guy, but out of the world.
That's one of the things that I was telling you both separately in this training that I'm doing, like getting into what blockchain. I found out in Web3, I found out that to be so true. I've been so humbled by the talents and the brains and the intelligence and the level of awareness and consciousness that people in Web3 are at. And it was a surprise because, I also come from the belief system of crypto equals, let's see how we make money. Blockchain is, this is just the newest trend. And then when you start peeling the onion, you realize, okay, no, here's where if the smartest minds of the planet are here, well, then what's behind that? Let's see what's there.
Yeah. So, also on that, I would say like something I love from crypto is like, I don't feel the politics that much. I feel like the people is much for the knowledge. It's much more horizontal. It's not that vertical. People are very willing to share. People is not accountable. Oh, this is mine. This is yours. I mean, it will happen because in the very end, all the companies will evolve into a corporate side because corporate is not bad by itself. It's bad when procedures are everything and when you collude like the creation layer of the people because of a set of rules that you have invented. But I'm saying that now, I would say like if this is like a pendulum, now we are in the wild side, and it has like a lot of good things that people are coming for the project. Now I see that more people start to ask me, like, I'm gonna tell you an example. There is a joke that I love from Reddit, and it's like there is a girl saying, "Hey, Matt, I am breaking up with you because you are working in your stupid stuff like Bitcoin, while your friends are in real estate and real stuff and investment banking." 6 years later, "Hey, Matt, how are you?" And it's like, it's people are also perceiving like the values here. Some people are jumping because of the money, and it's legit, but because you have to live on something, but I see like a lot of people are really passionate and truly passionate about what you are learning, and that spirit is much funnier to share. We have now our offsite in Istanbul like 2 weeks ago, and it was great to see the people, because people is very nice. I mean, everyone. You don't find any not nice people, so you don't need to be playing any role game here, okay? And if you don't like something, you raise hand and you say, I don't like it. But it's like you can be yourself, and this is something that I didn't mind in the public sector, because I said, okay, this is not my business, but I couldn't do always in the private sector, because if you do it, you get kind of sanctioned or you get into more trouble.
So talking about breakups on the meme, and something an ex-girlfriend told me when she was breaking up with me back in the day. She said, "Well, love isn't enough." And I've come to learn that is very much true. So although people are passionate about it, passion for something is not enough for you to get into it and to be inside of it, right? So what was your learning process like? Because being you're already a logical mind, number focused mind, but you're not a technical guy, as you were saying, like from a programming standpoint. How deep did you need to go, considering you're not like a software engineer of some sort?
Yeah. I mean, I've been from 2016. The best tip that my brother could give me is like, do your own research. This acronym that you see a lot of on Reddit, like DYOR, is like, it was very useful for me, because I said, okay, I want to understand this from in the very deep. I mean, I went kind of crazy with this. So I started with the hashing. I was starting with the validation process. I went with the Ethereum white paper, with the yellow paper, with the beige paper. I start to go into everything I saw on YouTube, on Reddit, on all these kinds of. I enter into Ethereum scalability, but I tried to do it on a deep way. I didn't want to just get on the surface. I said, okay, this is gonna be hard for me, and sometimes I had to, because internet has a lot of information but a lot of disinformation. So you need to read like many sources to in the end have your own opinion on how does it work. I started doing some maths course, not very technical, but enough. For example, I don't know, but this modular arithmetic. I've never studied that in school. It wasn't very useful for me. But when I hear modular arithmetic, because it's being used on secret rollups, I know what they are talking about. So I will never be like an expert like that, but I've been like putting like a lot of small stones in many places. So in the very end, I had a good understanding, and I mixed it with what I'm good at, which is financial regulation, financial stuff. So that my approach was, I need to find a spot where I can bring value to the system, and I can bring value here when I mix financial regulation with my understanding. So I keep on reading like a lot, and after that, I also mix that information with my programming skills I got from PwC. I went to a couple of smart contract theory developer courses, which are in Udemy, 10 euros, very affordable. But they gave me, like, for example, now what is a node, how the node communicates between each other, what is parity, what is get, what is a JSON RPC, what is an endpoint, these kind of words. I was able to understand them. So in the very end, I got a profile that was kind of interesting for a guy, and I was lucky, very lucky, and then I entered.
I think that course thing we're going to talk about, it's going to be a valuable thing for us to talk about in a second. But like I see that a lot of like, you call it passionate, but it's are people who already have the mind and the disposition to dig into stuff. So you are a very academically focused person, let's say, and we see that profile in crypto a lot with people who are in the industry right now. But talking about regular people in the world, how different do you think the transition is going to be, having read all that you read, having dug so deep like you did. How different do you think the adaptation to Web3 is going to be in comparison to the adaptation to Web2? Do you think because back in 2022 it was hard to create a new website, and you can do it now with a couple of clicks? Will the same thing, equivalent thing, happen to Web3?
Well, it's a very difficult question to say, because I would say the innovation curve is exponentially faster now. So it's kind of difficult to understand where we will be in 2 years. But for example, I put you an example. In 2000, I think it's 17 or 16, we were with the scalability trilemma, with this SegWit, which was like the super fork of Bitcoin, sent by one of the Ethereum founders and all these guys, and we were saying, scalability, we are far away. Now, when I dig into scalability, you see crazy things. Now, 4 years ago, it was sidechains, then Plasma, then commit chains, then rollups, Optimistic, CK, now Validium, Polysions, and things go faster and faster and faster and faster. So I would say now we are, and something I also see that is different, maybe but that's my personal views, like the paradigm of the information in internet is much even bigger than blockchain, because blockchain is like a way of doing things, but it's not creating a new thing. For me, this is important, because blockchain, it's not an absolute. Not everything needs blockchain. You don't need to decentralize everything. I like that vision, but being that maximalist, there are things that doesn't work that good. For example, a DAO. Okay, a DAO has good approaches, but there are some times that you need to make people accountable for. So you cannot dilute the responsibility in, I don't know, in the wall. You need to make
in absolute, right? In absolute, sure.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is blockchain is an enabler to make things better, but it's not something that is creating something super new. There are some things that are super new, like maybe those metaverse, but the metaverse were there. The only thing we need is put me a decentralized ledger or registration that says that if I send money to this guy, I have sent money to this guy. But this is what blockchain is doing. It's enabling new things, but it's not creating new things. Okay, what is amazing from the metaverse is this digital appearance, this digital identity. So I would say we are coming to and the other third point I want to say, sorry, is UI UX is the most difficult part for blockchain, because people are now dealing with MetaMask, but my boss says you are only relevant when you are able to explain this to your grandmother, and we are kind of far away. So I would say in the future, the toolbox to create something with blockchain will be there, but I wouldn't say it's that as crazy as what we have seen in 2010 or something like that. I would say the revolution is much bigger there, but now we are taking to another level, and that take is kind of difficult to do it without this blockchain technology.
Talking about explaining this to your grandmother or to an 8-year-old kid. I always say an 8-year-old kid, but because there's some, but in any way,
I was going to say that, because that's why I think the UI and UX is super important, because then people can come in contact with it and get their hands on it and use it, and then you probably don't need to explain to them that much if you did a good job. Because I was thinking that I spent so many years trying to explain to my grandmother that I only did the music for the commercials and not the actual commercial itself. And although she understood it, she kind of couldn't conceive how it, why or how or what value did that have. So explaining and making people value and seeing, caring about something is completely different. So I think the UI UX is a good thing. Go ahead, Alvaro. I'm sorry.
I read an analogy the other day that I thought was quite interesting on Ethereum, explaining how Ethereum is like the government and smart contracts are like the laws, in a way that you can almost become the legislative system of a government, because you write own laws that then you have people, abide to or oblige to or not, because they're opt-in laws, right? They're not forced upon. You have to convince people, no, this is a law that makes sense. Just like you have to put the value of the money that you print or that you virtually create is on your words. It's on the promises that you can manage to fulfill and deliver. Right. So I think that's very interesting, because those are kind of concepts that potentially, I don't know if Pablo, you want to expand on that. Or
yeah, I mean, I love the idea, because I think that something that blockchain is bringing is enabling like new worlds or new shapes of governance or something like that, which are not that brute governance based on scare, but hey, jump here if you want, but if you want to jump here, these are my rules, and my rules are not gonna be changeable. This is, for example, what I see with Bitcoin. I would say like Bitcoin is so scary for governments because you cannot change the monetary policy of Bitcoin. You cannot print Bitcoins. I mean, the Bitcoins are gonna be printed in the way that the protocol says, with a halving method, with a halving period until 2000, I don't know when, with 21 million Bitcoins. So I love that. And I also think that this is bringing like a lot of value to small communities that are not governed by scare, by the brute force. So that's also I like, and that's why I'm saying like this blockchain is allowing people to eliminate intermediaries, because you don't need intermediaries if you have like a decentralized layer that says, okay, you have said this, you are going to be accountable for this. Don't worry, because it's written there. So you don't need an intermediary saying, hey, look at this, what this guy said. No. Now you have this. So this kind of philosophical approach, but I think that with the time, we will see like a lot of applications coming into that way. Also, for example, the oracles, super important, because we are going to make people accountable for things that are off chain but can be brought on chain with those kind of figures. So
can you expand on that? What do you mean by oracles?
I mean, the oracles are kind of software that allow you to bring information that is off chain on chain. For example, you want to bet on if tomorrow it's going to be sunny or cloudy. So you need to take that information from a website that says if it's going to be sunny or cloudy. So you take that information, which is off chain, and you put it on chain. So you see, for example, I love this use case of, I don't know if project finance. Project finance, basically what it does is it takes like a set of financial institutions. They put some treasury and they start to give money to a certain project based on the fulfillment of some milestones. Okay. So before, what used to happen is what crazy, full of lawyers like claiming, hey, this guy did this or didn't this. I'm not gonna give you the money. Now it's like much more simple. The smart contract is gonna give you money if the oracle captures that the milestone that you were supposed to deliver is here. So you are making things much more efficient. You are allowing a lot of lawyers. So you are making the world much more lean, much more smoother. So my approach is like, we are not able to think of all the possibilities like that blockchain can bring you. I think we are gonna discover from time to time. It's like when you start, for example, working in Excel or programming, you need to make your head used to the way of thinking, of the way of how Excel thinks. You cannot imagine what Excel can do for you until you start like working a lot with that. So I think blockchain is like the same in gaming, for example. You don't know how far can you bring the gaming world. I don't know if you can start playing with NFTs in the middle of the world, and these NFTs can be sold in a secondary market that can go into a metaverse until we start experience with that. So I love this field because it's like the possibilities are endless, and blockchain is enabling those possibilities.
That's amazing. I have a lot of things that I could like pull a thread and give you back and like, cause like my mind goes Oracle and then I go Matrix and it's like, okay, how
when do we stop? Yeah.
How can we create content about like to facilitate the communication of these things? You explain it
I'd argue we're still discovering uses for Web 2, really, figuring out what Web 2 can do. And Just when you said government it sure helps people understand and help, but which government would that be? Just don't say it would be socialist, since everyone's making rules and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Don't
No,
say
I like the idea of just
imagine
maybe
socialist China. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe state instead of
Maybe
government.
state, yeah. Maybe state.
Executive, jurisdictional, and legislative, powers. Like the very kind of basic definition.
As you see, Pablo, if we don't go ahead, dude, we're gonna stay here forever.
Yeah. I can see. Maybe I need to cancel this guy and tell him.
Yeah, no. But I actually wanted to go on. You were talking about the impact of like, for example, small communities, and you were talking about scalability as well, right? And I really wanted to know a little bit what like Polygon's approach, because I've we've been talking about this project that you're going, like the next 2 billion, which I know is going into different countries, like African countries, Latin American, South American countries, and I kind of wanted to know what the approach is in terms of getting people on board, of get communicating at perhaps a I don't know if it's a lower level or high level, but to people that are non-users. Like, how are you approaching this onboarding to non-Web3 users?
Yeah, and that's a very good question, because it's not that easy to answer. Actually, I'm not sure if I can answer it very well, but I think, Alvaro, you are very good at communicating, and that's but I'm saying that because I think that the awareness activity is like a personal activity. I mean, it's like a person to person, peer to peer. So it's not something that you can put in a procedure in a form and submit. So the way we try to bring people to Web3 is with small things. I think that this is the way that it works better, and we need to put small things with very understandable experiences that allow you to play. So for me, the best way to enable people to bring into the Web3 is with games. I mean, this is for me, it's like the easiest trigger. That's why all this gaming fever we have seen is crazy, because if you make people earn money while playing, you cannot find a more powerful lever than that one. So I would say, like, this kind of mini DeFi projects, gaming projects, enter really well into the awareness. So we need to make people understand which is the value, and the value is like, hey, you own this token. This token is fungible. This token can be traded. You can buy and sell things with this token, and you earn this token by being competitive on this game or this DeFi project and all these things. But that's my opinion. I'm not in the next 2 billion. I am more in corporate, like blockchain projects, I would say. But I would say, like, gaming for me is like the best lever with DeFi for this. Everything that is Web3 native works really well. That's my opinion.
What do you know of any other? Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, it's a good thing this is a gaming podcast, right? We got to the interesting part now. Go ahead, Nuno.
I was gonna ask if you have any idea of other cool projects that Polygon is getting involved with.
In terms of what, of gaming on blockchain enterprise? What do you mean? Because we have like
gaming. Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, gaming. The problem of gaming is that gaming is led by another division in Polygon, which is called Polygon Studios, which is focused on what we call Web3 native projects. Web3 native projects are the projects that crypto native users engage really easily. Okay, these are basically DeFi and gaming NFTs. I work on the enterprise side. Okay, but on top of that, I could also say that I am really aware, because I work here, that Polygon is like the most expanded blockchain ecosystem in the world now. We have more than 38K apps, which is huge. Yeah. So it's huge, and we have like some of the most prominent games, like some very powerful games. I would say, like, most prominent games now are the ones which have like there's a lot of competition there. You can see the Axie Infinity and all these play to earn or play for earn now, all these things. I'm not an expert on blockchain gaming. Okay, I can say it. And now I've been reviewing like the list of top blockchain projects on Polygon, because there is a lot of classifications for the one that I knew more is this called Meta Soccer, which is kind of famous on blockchain. This AFYN, AFYN, but I'm not able to go deeper into this because the way of measuring how a project is good or bad is not that easy. And I would say it's not that easy because they are using some metrics we are not used to. It's like when we have to measure like a blockchain project for enterprise. How do you measure it? We don't use the same KPIs that are used in the traditional world. So I'm sorry because my gaming expertise is like stuck to the Web2 world, and I cannot dig into the Web3 yet.
I was wondering, you talk about there's 3, let's say, sectors, right, that are more appealing to the crypto native, right? You talked about DeFi, talked about gaming or GameFi, and NFTs. What does the concept of like GameFi tell you? Like a decentralized world of gaming, like beyond play to earn, like why do you think the pull into the community is so big? Like what's behind that?
I mean, because you are part of a community. For me, the engaging part of the community for me is the most amazing part. I mean, and this is something I think, and you can correct me here because I'm not the expert, but it's something that is being created. But that kind of interoperability between players, identity, items into a digital connected world, which are like metaverse connected by bridges or metaverse, that kind of idea, that kind of Ready Player One life. Mm-hmm. This is what is attracting people here. Like, hey, I can play a game and I'm getting an NFT that is going to allow me to enter into this NFT, and I can earn something, and everything starts to being connected. And that kind of connection wasn't possible before because we didn't have like a decentralized network that validates all these things. We have a centralized network, and nobody wants to trust Blizzard for all of our money, for sure, even though Blizzard is an amazing company. So what the gaming or the GameFi experience is making is like you are part of something much bigger. I mean, you play Call of Duty, and you are not just getting points in a private league. You are, I don't know, the possibilities are endless, but I envision like a much more larger engagement experience with the gaming in Web3 than what you can get from Web2. I think it's a complete other paradigm on that way.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you say community, because I think that's like one of the main reasons why we're doing this as well, the podcast and this style of content, is because I'm seeing how the concept of growing and nurturing a community is kind of changing as well, because when you have an economical ecosystem that depends upon the community itself, now you really need to base the community on trust, right? Coming from the Web2 marketing paradigm, I think it was so much more about the KPIs, about the numbers, about, the engagement. Yeah, engagement, but not so much about the power of the community itself. Like, we go back to governance, we go back to the power of the individual and that he has to make the community happen. Now it's not so much about the people that are enabling the community or that are creating the community, like us, Banger. We're creating a community of casual and occasional gamers, but basically the power is within them to trust us and each other, right? So it's a kind of a change in mentality, which I really love, and I think it's where the power is at.
And I would say, like, on that, I would say like the concept of engagement is a word that has been used like a lot in the Web 2, but it's not even close. I mean, it's like it's the fancy word to say engagement, and it's what everyone is pretending, but it's kind of impossible to engage if you don't know your user, for example, and you don't know who is playing, and you cannot know and the track that you can have of your user is limited to your game, because the world is much bigger than your game. So if you are allowing people to create an identity that can be fed from the different, from his own, from the whole life, from every single gaming experience, without limiting to a game, but you are like paving the path for these huge communities. Like, people is getting identified, people get rewarded because you play good here. I mean, as I said, like the digital twin of your life can be much well rewarded, and then the community is the only one that is benefiting, because I know who you are, I know why you are putting some resources on here, I know that you are playing better, I know that you are in this metaverse, I know that you like speaking with these people, and you are doing that even preserving your identity. So I love the engagement concept of Web3 much more than the Web2, which is super fragmented, or at least in my vision, super fragmented, and is in hand of intermediaries. And those intermediaries are doing, in general, or basically, or part of their business is what is called this enterprise data management. That is a data sale, and this is something that you are avoiding with the Web3, because instead of having like different intermediaries, you have one single point, which is the player. So this is what you are creating. For me, that's why I like it a lot.
I'm going to go in my usual tangent a little bit. Every episode we have one. I think this is my moment right now. Yes, let's go. But I think that I think it's not just the fact that we had you said, Alvaro, trust on each other. And I think that having a layer, a centralized layer, like we are operating within the parameters of a particular developer, something like that, it devoids players. It makes members of the community, it makes it necessary for them to really understand the rules and the motivations they have within that space, and also diminishes their responsibilities a little bit. So it's more grabbing people by the hand. So it gets their capability of not only expressing themselves but leaving a mark, makes it diminishes that capability. So it kind of walls them inside something that is safer in general, like in for the general public. It's made to be as safe as possible to as many people as possible, rather than being made for being accountable and giving people the chance to be themselves, as you're saying. When you say projection, psychologically, it's exactly what imprinting your identity on something else is, right? So you're projecting who you are in a form that is beyond what you are, so it makes you greater somehow. It makes you bigger than what you are. So it's closer to a religious experience, as it gets recognized by other people who are also doing the same thing and comparing these projections between themselves and trying to show the best of what they are, or as they ought to be if they could. And juxtaposing these things. So I think if I were to sell what Web3 in gaming would be, ideally, of course, because there's gonna be ways to exploit it, and even the developers, like, there's gonna be some stuff that is going to go like beyond some line that is probably not as advantageous to people. So we're testing stuff. And it's not different than Web2 either. Like the microtransactions in Web2 went way too far at a certain point, and we had to scale it back. And it's just people are not willing to participate in that wild of a commercial relationship. But if I were to sell Web3 in gaming, would be it's an environment where it's a global environment where everyone can interact and really make their mark on the very fabric of the thing it's made of, right? So I think that's beautiful, because even when you do something extraordinary on a game that is like a Web2 game, it's unless it goes to the mainstream media, it leaks to the mainstream. It doesn't kind of mean anything. It doesn't get it's nothing.
Even it's in the mainstream media, you will never know if it can be tampered. You cannot control that.
Exactly.
That,
So you have
and you don't
you
have,
have that in print, and you have ownership over what you've done.
do you know the story of why Vitaly created Ethereum? Do you know that story? Because
Oh,
he
he
was
got
like,
kicked off something, wasn't it? I
he
remember
was a,
reading that.
he was like a great player of World of Warcraft, and someday he had like this strategy, and his player was nerfed, and he said, okay, why, he wrote to Blizzard and said, why did you change this? Because you have changed my whole strategy. And he said, and they said, okay, because this is the way we have envisioned the game. So he said, I will never trust something that is centralized and I cannot control or be part, or it's not like an agreement between within the community. So he then jumped into Bitcoin. He
An
said to
agreement,
he,
an agreement between is very well phrased. An agreement between is very well phrased, I think.
yeah. So he said to Bitcoin, hey, let's make this BIP, this Bitcoin improvement proposal. Let's change the language, the script, into adding like a smart contract functionality. They said no, and that's why he created Ethereum. That's short, very short.
I love it.
Way of explaining this kind of, but this is what happened with because he couldn't control, and that kind of my experience is in hands of someone that can decide that this is off, or my world that I have created, because digital world is something real. Maybe you cannot touch it with the hand, but it's something real. People is investing time, is investing resources. So I don't want to be part of a world that is controlled by someone when I am putting so much effort in that. And that is what you are avoiding with Web3.
And many people don't. I think what will happen with Web3 in general, and that's why I was putting so much emphasis on UI and UX and how to get into the experience, or even like the possibility of being participants in that space in the hands of people, really, was because of the fact that I really think that it's really something that people who are able to study more about it, either for their own impulse or their curiosity or their technical ability, are going to be more capable of being good actors within that space. Because it really, as you give people, because when you're able to imprint your own thing and you have ownership implies responsibility. And it's different from everything to be ruled by a developer and you being within those guidelines and actually having responsibility for what you're doing, how you're doing it, and how you're being yourself within a space. So that responsibility and knowing the rules, that requires information and study. So that's why I think it's going to take a little bit longer for people. But when they do jump in,
they won't want to get out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
So there's how deep someone who wants to work in Web3 needs to go to act as a competent part of the industry, like you did. There's a minimum depth. Like regular people need to go in terms of knowledge to know just about enough to inhabit Web3 and participate in it. So what depth do you think that is? Like most people discover crypto from recommendation of someone they like, just like you did with your brother, for instance. You got into it through your brother. So if you could be that person to people who are watching right now, how would you suggest people, like regular gamers, get started? Should they set up a wallet? What specific articles would you recommend they read before they jump in?
Well, that's a very difficult question because it puts me a lot of responsibility on this. But
there you go. Welcome to Web3, brother.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Ownership of that advice. Minted.
So no, I mean, it depends on the role, but I would say, like, if you want to start like digging into the world, the best way is interacting in the world. Interacting. For example, when you want to understand how Coinbase works, the best thing you can do is to buy something, and then you buy something, and then you try to sell it, and then you start like getting used to how it works, because I think like a lot is part of using it, just using it. So I would say, like, start to play. I mean, start to play, put some money, get some tokens, start to play on this, take some NFTs, go to OpenSea, sell it, because you're gonna get a lot on that. Then another advice, I think, for me, for me, I think it's interesting to have like but it's my opinion, to have a minimal learning on how a blockchain works, how Bitcoin blockchain works, Ethereum works. I mean, you need to understand this a little bit, and it's hard. There is like a big entry barrier on this world. I know, because Alvaro and I have been trying to evangelize our friends, and they say, "Hey, can I?" How? And they say, "No, shut up. I want to earn money." I say, "Come on, this doesn't work like that." So the conversation ends up there always, 99% of the time, because you need to make an effort. I mean, this is very new, and you need to put some time there. But for me, it's like getting used to that. Try to be very focused on what you want to learn, because otherwise you can get lost in everything. I mean, my screen is full of screens. I start like opening. I have like 30, and I say, okay, I'm gonna read this from 5 to 6. But then I say, okay, no, because I have another 10 one. So you need kind to be kind of focused on this. And I think it's and then I learn a lot with videos, watching videos. I have watched, like, I don't know, Andreas Antonopoulos like a lot. He's like a very well known speaker.
He explains very well the origin of money, the history of money, and how Bitcoin plays into that.
Say the name slowly again, please.
Andreas Antonopoulos.
Okay, is it in English? It's in English, right?
It's in English. Yeah, he has a book called Mastering Bitcoin. It goes from kind of easy to very technical. I didn't finish. I said, okay, I'm not that people to finish that book, but it's good because it gives you like a lot of the financial incentives, what Alvaro was saying, and alignment of incentives of blockchain. You don't need to go very deep into technicalities, but you need to understand why this is useful. And this kind of this why question, I think he answers very well. And then if you want to know something about the how, there are like two kind of videos which are very useful, which are the whiteboard crypto, because they start like speaking and painting, and that's very useful. And then also like this Finematics, which is another channel for DeFi. And then I don't know, for example, if people like your community Vanguard games, I'm sure you will have your blog, your community, like get engaged with that, because at the beginning you get lost, and I'm sure you get lost, but if you make the effort to be kind of loyal to a channel, not changing from channels, not being loyal to a channel, then you start understanding like the music, and you end up like getting the sense of from what you want to like be loyal to something when learning, because if not.
Also understanding your motivation behind going into Web3, right? So for me, for example, it's very philosophical and value-based, hence me growing this Greek beard, right? So I really
that's how you call it then. It's a Greek beard. I like it. Beard.
Yeah, it's still, I'm shaping it, but it's getting it. So it really, for me, it's really important. I'm not like, I have to read the pseudo technical like 8 times to understand it at a 40%, right? So
me too. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a couple of things there about algorithmic sure. Mathematics. They were, you lost. So I don't know about that, but in any case, understanding the values and the bigger picture, philosophically wise and awareness wise, for me is allowing me to learn more about Web3. For you, it might be, getting, as you said, like starting playing. Just by the sheer act of playing and just having to buy an NFT or a free to own NFT, which is now a new and more interesting concept, if you ask me, to that kind of enables you to start playing without having to commit, because it's hard to commit money if you don't have, an understanding.
It's more than hard. It's risky.
It's risky.
Well, I can make a claim. You are paying like thousands of dollars for masters where you don't know like nothing of what you are like taking out of money to go to a master. For example, here you have a lot of information in the internet for free. You have courses for 10 euros, paying like an NFT $5 to understand how it works. I mean, maybe for some this can be a lot, but a lot of people can afford this. And this is, I would say, like, we spend money in many things when we say, hey, I'm going to learn for this. I'm going to buy this book, $20. And you say, come on. But you don't want to buy an NFT and to understand how it works from OpenSea, how to mint it. So
Yeah, you do have a point there. I would argue, because I don't, as I've stated before, I don't inhabit crypto Twitter that much. So my Twitter feed is still made of regular people with regular faces. And when I see people talking about crypto, it's always from a standpoint of fear and disinformation, and we don't want this to be part of stuff. And
Right.
I would recommend people to learn more about it, because as you very well put, Pablo, it is a way of one way of doing stuff. It's a tool that allows some concepts to be real, like to operate in a particular way. Maybe it's not good for everything. We're gonna see different applications for it through time from now on. But just learn a bit more if you can. If you don't want to invest money right now, which I completely understand, I don't, frankly. Just go and read something. Don't trust people on Twitter. To at least try understand why they're saying no, or why someone saying yes is saying yes, and take some time to form your own opinion, rather than having your opinion on a first read or a second read. Just dig a little bit deeper. Dig a little bit deeper. It's just my advice.
Yeah, I would say like for most people, it's easier to read one line than to read 10 lines. So Twitter makes a very good job for that, because it gives you like a lot of highlights in 1 2 lines. And
Yeah.
if you want to, and people don't usually go through the whole thread. So I agree with you. I mean, but you need like to stake time. Maybe you don't need to invest money, but you need to invest time in understanding, because as I said, like the entry barrier. I mean, when you start reading, you say, "Wow, I don't get anything." So you need that's a big problem. You start reading and say, "Wow, these are I don't get any word." I mean, these guys are speaking another language. Which language is this one? Sounds like English, but I've
So
never
true.
heard the word.
One thing I can say is that I'm sure everyone can find out a reason by reading it a little bit in depth, not just digging a little deeper. You will find a reason to want to participate on it, and find a reason why it matters to you. Maybe not to someone on Twitter, but I'm sure it matters to you. So on that note, and I know that you need to go, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Similar to the way we've opened it, talking about games. So you mentioned Age of Empires, and you mentioned League of Legends, and that you was your favorite at a certain point. Would you want to see Web3 features in these games that you love?
Yeah. This is what I expect. Actually, this is what I expect. I don't know. I don't know when it will come, but I think it's gonna come. So yeah, this is what I expect.
Do you
This
have
will
a
come.
particular way that you want to see them implemented, or a way that you don't want to see them implemented? Or it's just
Uh,
something that you expect, and whatever comes,
uh,
comes?
Maybe with Banger Games doing some stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I was the Web2 gamer. I need to get updated on this Web3 space. But I don't know. I mean, you are one of the community leaders for at least Spain, so maybe you can pay the work for us, and to start like, yeah, that's what I can say. I've heard your name like quite many times in the conversations we have. So yeah, maybe you are one of the evangelists that we need to start seeing like these Web3 feeders on the games we have.
There you go.
That was as close as I'm touched. That was close to close to our introduction to you. So I want to thank you, Pablo. Cheers to
Thank
Pablo.
you very much. It was an amazing time. I really had a great time here. Actually, Alvaro told me yesterday it's not gonna be a regular conversation. I agree, but I love much more this kind of decentralized conversation that the regular topics that you can find.
Thank you very much. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
On that note, your most beloved decentralized podcast, Bangercast, it's closing down for the day. Thank you, Pablo Artiñano. Thank you,
Thank you
Alvaro
very much,
Bonnelly.
Alvaro and Nuno. Been a pleasure, and yeah, and I come back whenever you want. Okay, bye bye.
Perfect. See you
Bye.
soon, folks. Banger
Take
out.
care. Ciao.